Flashy news. Only on ParanoidRadio.com, bringing you Flashy Fridays.
Tony boy.
Yo, I dedicate this episode to Mama Tank, Big Tank. My prayers are with you. Mama Tank, you're going to heal fast. I know God is going to be with you and protect you in every way.
Prayers up.
That's right. Testicles, 1, 2, testicles. Welcome back to Paranoid Radio Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your humble host, Trebles Garcia. I want to thank the Lord for allowing me to be here today, and I want to thank the Lord, every single one of you for allowing me to enter your space. Prayers out goes to Mama Tank, Big Tanks, my co-host, my best friend's mom. She's having heart surgery right now. We wanna bless her with our prayers, and I got to be with her and guide her through this process. And I hope all their family members stay strong. Nothing bad will happen. We proclaim victory today. Guys, do not forget to check us out at ParanoidRadio.com. And do not forget to drop a 5-star rating for podcast. This allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. Today we have a very serious fucking topic to come on, and I'm bringing in my deep state correspondent, freedom fighting patriot, warrior, father, business owner, the man that has made a lot of things happen for us. We just reached 20,000 followers almost at the same fucking time, rocking the fucking mic, dropping bombs of knowledge every single fucking week. There's no other show that's more consistent and more underrated out there than Paranoid Radio Podcast, and you can take that shit to the bank of knowledge. Shout out to Big Tank again. Stay strong, my brother. Fucking love you, dude. Please allow me to strike with iron is hot. Allow me to jump in from the deep end of the pool and set the fucking mood. Welcome back, Flash. How's it going, big dog?
What's up, brother? Prayers up to Tank's mom, for real, man, for sure.
Bro. I was there last year around this time, and it fucking sucks to have a family member, specifically your mom, in the fucking hospital. So let's dedicate this to her mom, to fucking freedom fighting, and to the rest of this fucking beautiful country. Yo, Flash, tell them where they could find you, dog. What are you about for the new listeners? And then we're gonna jump into the fucking main topic of today.
Yeah, man. Listen, like my boy said, we just hit 20K. Finally, when we started, we were both at like a couple hundred followers, man. So this is really cool for us. Yeah, I'm still on our Instagram. Shadow Bands Lifted. You can probably find me now. Flashy_news1 over on Elon Musk X. Flashy_news X as a backup. And True Social. Flashy_truths. Let's get it.
Absolutely, that is right. Make sure you check them out, and you can also find them on ParanoidRadio.com under the score, as a not only as a special guest, but also as a co-host, deep state correspondent. He's up on a fucking image. He's one of us. He's my third leg, ladies and gentlemen. Here comes the first motherfucking case of the day. Trump's cases. Hold the fuck up. Stop all the fucking doors. Who? What? Talent documents? CIA uncover? What?
Oh,
Flash,
y'all not ready for this one, man. Y'all are not ready for this one. We put the reel out yesterday. It took off, went viral because people just know it in their heart that this was probably what was going on, right?
And there's people in their comment section asking, hey, we put out the information as fast as possible. # look it up. We can't just spoon feed you everything. We're not the mainstream media news. We cannot be telling everybody, we don't do that shit. We give you the bit of information, and it's up to you to look it up. And it is public knowledge.
And I did put the source on my page too, so if people want to go see the article, it's on my page.
Bam. Look at that.
Top one. So and that this was okay. So everyone knows about Donald Trump's court cases in Florida. The one in Florida is about the documents case, about him holding documents supposedly that he wasn't supposed to have. That's when they raided Mar-a-Lago. That's this case I'm talking about. Yep. Now, this case specifically has the only fair judge out of all of the cases. Her name is Eileen Hannon. She was appointed by Trump, one of the last judges he appointed before he left office. Very important, right? And this is why he always brags about the 300 federal court judges he appointed, because this is really important, right? Because he knew he would be here one day probably. And a lot of the appeals court judges are also Trump appointees.
Wow.
Obviously, the Supreme Court has a bunch of them. So this is what, you know what I mean? This is chess, right? So he knew that this was all coming. So Eileen Count, now she's not a Trump, she just follows the Constitution. She's a traditionalist. All judges should be. They shouldn't be
Word.
interpreting they shouldn't be interpreting the laws based on their ideology. They should be interpreting it through the Constitution as it's written. That's
Yeah.
who Trump appointed, those kind of judges, right? So
Yeah.
obviously we have activist judges. The other cases are filled with them. Democrat donors, you can look at their, so anyway. So this case, Jack Smith, the deranged Jack Smith, the special counsel that's bringing all of these cases, that's pretty much Joe Biden's little pit bull, right? This fucking piece of shit. He has been several times has been rebuked by the Supreme Court in the past. And years before, he tried doing a bunch of shady shit. The Supreme Court pretty much told him, you're shady dude, and they overruled him a bunch of times. But anyway, just a little history about this dude, right?
Yeah.
So throughout this whole process, Jack Smith has been trying to redact information because now Trump gets discovery, right? Because he is the defendant. So he gets to see what the government has, what the person that's suing him has, all the information that they have on him, right?
Yeah.
So in that, so they have no choice. They have to give that up, right? That's just part of the deal. So in that, Jack Smith redacted a bunch of information on a lot of these documents that they were going to give over to the Trump team. And obviously Trump's team was like, that's great. Like, this shouldn't be redacted at all. I say it's classified and all this, blah, blah, blah. The public shouldn't know about it, this and that. And so now they've been doing this in other cases. And then the judge just says, oh, sure, keep it redacted because they're anti-Trump judges, right? But legally, you should absolutely be redacting all of this. And this is the beauty of Eileen Cannon, the judge. She said, so like, this is all in the documents, all in the court documents, in the transcripts between the judges and the lawyers. So pretty much she was saying, listen, if you want to bring a case against the former president of the United States, you best believe it's got to be transparent. The American people need to know everything. No hiding. There cannot be any well, if it's this, if it's that. No, if you're going to do this, you're going to open up the books to everything.
Keep that same fucking energy. Exactly. Keep that same energy on every fucking level. You can't fucking be fucking nitpicking your fights. You're going to come in hard or don't come at all, baby.
That's right. And this is all about transparency. And that's what Trump's all about, is about, opening the books for everything, right? So, So obviously Jack Smith's panicking, right? Because the judge had already read the stuff unredacted. So she knows what's in it, right? So she's well aware, and she's well aware why Jack Smith wanted it redacted and how his argument about it's classified is absolutely ridiculous, and that he wanted it redacted to save his own ass. So T said, nah, we're going to redact it and we're going to release it. So that's exactly
what did it have inside, dog?
So these documents laid out the conspiracy, like my boy says, no theories, just conspiracies, laid out the conspiracy that Joe Biden, Jack Smith, the Biden administration, and NARA, the National Archives and Records Association, I think that's what it stands for. They're in charge of maintaining all of that stuff, transitioning from one administration to another, right? So they got together, and a year before Mar-a-Lago was raided, right when they got into the White House, the Biden administration got into the White House, Trump was getting his records, as you're allowed to, from being a president, right? So what they did was they snuck in a ballot full of documents right in between all the other ones that Trump requested, documents that Trump never requested, documents that he never wanted, documents that he wasn't supposed to have. They snuck those in there and just sent it, millions of documents Trump was sent, all of his documents. So when they said, we're coming, we need this document, Trump was like, I don't have, what are you even talking about? I don't have that. He didn't even know. That was their excuse to go raid Mar-a-Lago. So they entrapped him. They sent him the documents, then said, you're not allowed to have those documents. And he was like, what are you talking about? I don't have those documents. Then they broke into his house and said, oh, yeah, you do. They're right here.
Get the fuck out, dog.
These motherfuckers got caught, bro. And this is what I always say. When you rush and when you got hate in your heart, you make mistakes. And they just thought that they could put enough pressure on this judge that she would just, like all the other judges, keep it redacted, keep it moving. And they try to, oh, she's a Trump supporter. She's this, she's that. She's a white supremacist. They tried it all. And she said, unredacted. How y'all feeling today? So now this whole case,
and the judge gets to read this, right? The judge reads all through this document.
She already read it. She knew exactly what was in there. That's why she said you got to be transparent.
There's no fucking way in hell that the other judges had to redact it if they were not biased. They had to. Oh my god!
Because they know what's in there. They know what's in. So they know if I unredact this, it's going to blow the whole case up. So we can't do that. Right?
Yeah,
so
they're getting paid. They're getting paid to keep them in court. Yeah.
And like literally, bro, that's not even a conspiracy theory either, because Judge Juan Merchant, we went over this last episode. His daughter made 93 million fucking dollars off of the incarceration and the trials of Donald Trump, while her
Yeah.
dad is the one overseeing and judging the. It's also ridiculous.
This is a
right?
huge fucking bombshell. And ladies and gentlemen, it's fucking public knowledge. And you know what's other more public knowledge? The public situation is happening on our fucking campuses, dog.
Oh, man.
Palestine supporters. Well, today the United States, I mean, the LA, we got the California Highway Patrol, we got the Sheriff's Department, we got the LA's precinct, and you got all these fucking organizations united. And at 4 a.m. in the morning, they picked all of them up, wiped up the fucking tents, and they took them back home. But quite frankly, I'm gonna let you do the speaking because I have a lot of fucking anger to deal with right now, bro. Palestine campuses protesting. What's happening, bro?
And this is I've been trying to talk about how the slippery slope is real with this whole Palestine-Israel war thing, right? Because like I said, if we're not careful, we're going to catch ourselves on the same side, the screaming blue-haired liberals, just because we don't like Israel, right? And now that's not a bad thing to sometimes to agree with people, right? But these people don't give a shit about Palestine. They don't give a shit about Israel. They are anti-American, Marxists, communists, okay? And now they're being funded by Islamic revolutionary groups, Qatar, okay, Hezbollah, Iran. They love what's going on. Okay, and you may hate our government, but don't get it twisted. Do not hate our country. There's two different things. They hate our country, but love our government. We hate our government, but love our country. So we can't get those lines twisted, right? Because this is the psyop to suck us into all about hating Israel, right? And this is why I always say that Trump is more of a strategist than a Zionist. Trump is going to do whatever it takes to put America first. If that's shaking hands with Israel, it's shaking hands with Israel. If it's shaking hands with this guy, it's shaking hands with that. Because peace is the goal. That is the ultimate goal, and it's always been the ultimate goal with Trump. Okay, because just imagine if we could get all of our money back from overseas, if we could bring our sons and daughters home from overseas, all that money we waste, trillions of dollars a year, what we could do to this country with that money. That's why they hate Trump. That's why they're scared of him, because he wants peace. Right. So this whole thing has been orchestrated. Now we already found out now Soros is funding all of it. Right. They got all the same colored fucking tents. They got it's all coordinated, right? They want to make it seem like it was organic, just like Black Lives Matter.
We've seen this tactical with Black Lives Matter on election years.
6 months before the election, right on time. And then here comes the bird flu, right? It's just literally the same playbook, bro. They don't know what else to do. And it's literally the same people. So it has nothing to do with Israel or Palestine.
And they just released the bird flu situation that is going to be the next pandemic. Bird flu's back.
100%, bro. That's just what it is, right? But now it's just a different game now. This isn't 2020 anymore. People know what to look for. People knew that they got played the first time. They might not talk about it now, but they'll be a lot less likely to get played again. So they're panicking, right? So now this is all a distraction to all of these protests. They're taking our mind off the failing economy, taking our mind off the foreign policy failures of this administration, taking the pressure off Joe Biden, right? But Trump is keeping that pressure on. That's why you keep saying, where's Joe Biden at? How do you feel about this, about Jewish students not being allowed on campuses that they pay for just because they're Jewish? Listen, I don't care how you feel about Jewish people or Zionists in general. This is America. You don't get to stop someone from going somewhere because of their religion, if you agree with that religion or not.
Bam.
And these are coming from the same fucking people that cried their eyes out about Islamophobia after 9/11. Now they go turn around and now this is Judophobia. What is this? This is not how we live in America.
I have a testimony. I have a fucking testimony. Yesterday, a beautiful piece came to my work. She picked up her material, and she works for a company, for an electrician contracting company, and she does the deliveries of the material. She showed up. She's a piece. She's very beautiful young adult, and she goes to school to UCLA. I think it's USC, whatever. And I just asked her briefly, because here in California, they're bombarding the propaganda with anti-Israel, pro-Palestine. They're at the campuses. They started breaking through the doors. People started getting hurt. Fireworks. People were attacking the cops. It was ordered through chaos. Remember what I told you. So what happened? I asked her very nightly. I was very politely, and I asked her, since you're a young adult and you're going to school and you're also having a full-time job, like how does this make you feel? What would you do? What are you pro and for? And she asked me, oh yeah, I'll be with them, with the cool protesting. You'll be protesting. She was wearing clothing, provocative clothing. And then I was like, oh, you would protest pro-Palestine. I'm like, okay. And I turned around. I'm like, oh no, I respect your decision. You have every right to exercise your right of freedom of speech as long as it's not hate speech, because then it becomes a felony, and then you'll lose that speech amendment, right? I told her, and then I turned around to my coworkers and I told them, and this is a real true story. I told them, this is a perfect example of how the propaganda machine is influencing people to just go out there and be loud and cause ruckus and cause chaos, because they might be educated, but they're not intelligent. They're book smart, but they're not intelligent. They don't have any wisdom. This is what happens when you start getting people telling you what to do and then just go off based off emotions. Not that there's nothing wrong with that, but this is the wrong situation. If you were in Palestine today dressed the way you're dressed, you'd be stoned to death. Bet you didn't know that. And she stayed
100%.
quiet. And she went like, whoa. After that, she stayed quiet. I'm like, you know what? That's why I say fuck both of them, America first. make America great again.
It's such a good point, right? Because
Yeah.
they don't even know half the time what they're protesting for. They just want
They
to be
don't know.
revolutionaries, right? But
Yeah,
this is the
yeah.
thing about this whole thing. This is why I say it has nothing to do with Israel. This is anti-white hate. This is how it started in these college campuses, right? The CRT, the diversity, equity, inclusion. Where were our Jewish friends? Where were our Jewish friends when all of this anti-white rhetoric was going on in college campuses over the last 8 years? They're the ones that Israel was funding it, right? They were a big part of the DEI initiative. So now this has metastasized and got completely out of control because nobody stood up. Not enough people stood up. We were all screaming from the rooftops about the curriculum, how it's trickling down into the grade schools, because they want to get that shit started early. So when they do get to college, they could just be turned on like that and become exactly what we're seeing right now. So all of this started with CRT, critical race theory, anti-white. So this isn't really anti-Jew, it's anti-white. That's what it is, because now Jewish people are considered white now because they're just whiter than the Palestinians. They have more money, so they're killing Palestinians. And this is the other thing. The numbers coming out of Palestine, 30,000 kids die, that's coming from Hamas. And prior to October 7th, we used to make that distinction. Like after the Iraq war, oh, Iraqi is saying that this many people died, but it's coming from a terrorist organization. So keep that in mind. Now it's just we take that number as gold. 30K died. Yeah, for sure. 100%. You don't think Hamas is taking advantage of this? They love what's going on right now. Hezbollah, Iran, and listen, we all know the history with Israel, and they funded Hamas. Yet, okay, but now this is larger than this. This is Iran, pretty much our arch nemesis. Okay, so now China, Russia, Iran, they're all getting together. This is a proxy war, another one, right? We're fighting one in Ukraine, now we're fighting one over here, and it's bleeding us dry. Treasure of weapons, of emotional damage, all of that, right? And that's part of the process. This is slowly breaking us
down the collapse from within. The death to
100%,
America chance.
100%.
The name of this fucking thing, the death to, it's exactly with the spiraling down of the old guard,
Death
like you
to.
said, and
But
the inner
it's
cities.
also death to the establishment, death to the Democrat Party and the old way of doing things. See, everyone says, where's the real change? Everything has changed since
And
Trump
specifically, the same thing that women were fighting for not so long ago about having their own spaces in sports. Women spaces. Flash, take it over,
yeah,
bro.
this is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back for the Democrat Party. Joe Biden just rewrote Title IX. Now, Title IX was the amendment that said women have their own spaces, have their own sports. They, you can't discriminate against them unless you get sued, all of this stuff, right? Great title. I mean, amazing, right? No one says that's a bad thing. Now, what they're doing is he rewrote it to include gender ideology. So if you're a man, you feel like you're a woman, you now have the protections of a woman legally. So now all of these states that went and passed laws banning men from women's sports, banning men from the bathrooms, now they can get sued if they don't allow a man with a penis into the womenmen's spaces because it's a constitutional right now.
You
right?
took 20 steps forward to take 30 backwards, dog. What the fuck?
Bro, where are all the women? You know what? And this is the thing, because Joe Biden's base was really the LGBT community, minorities, and suburban soccer moms and housewives. That was his base, right? And then single women. But as soon as you get married, you're more likely to be conservative. As soon as you hit the age of 40, you're more likely to be conservative. So that's why you see all of these liberal women, they're all single. That's really what it is. It's single women voting, that the cat ladies. That's really who's dragging this fucking country down, right? But so those are the ones he's going to lose because of this, because they're the soccer moms. They take their kids to sports. They know the difference between men, boys, and girls because they watch it. They raise their children. They soccer them around from practices and all this. So they might not talk about it, but the backlash is coming from them. Okay, because you're gonna tell this little boy. So now listen, if transgenderism was so natural, where are all the women that think they're men trying to play men's sports?
Word. Yeah.
Because maybe there's a physical disadvantage and they wouldn't even think about playing men's sports.
Because their
Right. So
ass
then
is
why
fucking knocked
is
out.
it
Word.
okay for men to play in women's sports that think they're men? And if it was, why do we see so many more men being women? If being a woman is so hard in this country, why are so many men trying to be women and not
Yeah.
enough women are trying to be like a man?
Yeah.
Because the roles, it's not about the patriarchy. No, there's just roles. There's the yin
Mm,
and the yang, the man
mm,
and the woman, right? No one's saying a woman can't do what a man can. It's that we
mm.
have our roles in society, not because
That's
of
it.
some monarchy or patriarchy. No, because it's just complementary, right? We
Hmm.
complement each other. We are not the same, purposely made in the image of God, not the same, but to be complementary.
Hmm.
That's what they're trying to erase. They're trying to erase the yin and the yang. Because if you can erase that, you can interject anything you want. This is that transhumanism agenda, right? With all this AI, brain chips, and all this shit. If they can take away your gender and your
You're
sex, they can
desensitized.
boom.
If
They can
you're
put anything they
confused
want in
enough,
there. Now
if
you're a revolutionary. It's literally like that meme where they take out the brain chip and they put in the new one. Ukraine, the current thing. Oops, Palestine, the current thing. That's
sucking you
because
dry from your energy
you have
and your
no
fucking labor.
soul. They took your soul from you with propaganda. You have nothing you believe in. You don't believe in having babies. You don't believe in starting a family. You don't believe in loving a man. You don't believe in or a woman. You don't believe in any of these things anymore because they convinced you that it's somehow racism or colonialism,
Hmm.
patriarchy, all of these buzzwords that they put into your mind. And now what are you left with? You're left with a meat sack of a body. That's it. No soul, nothing makes you feel anything other than being a revolutionary, other than screaming at the top of your lungs that Trump is a Russian spy, and that Trump is this. It's literally a drug. They are feeding these people a drug, right?
Wow.
It's a soul eating drug.
Wow.
It is an absolutely soul eating drug, and this is
That
this is
was
a perfect. It's a perfect
that
way. They're agents of the Matrix.
that
That's
was
just what it is.
the deepest set of sentences you've said the entire fucking show. Because that shit hits home. Now, when you put it in those terms, you're like, what the fuck? They
That's what we're
desensitized
watching.
you. They eliminate your persona, your character. They take over your emotions. They take over. They DNA hack you. DNA. They fucking
Yeah,
hack your brain. They
yeah.
tell you when to think. When this is literally the new world order. This is literally
This is how
control,
it's done. Yeah,
absolute control of
yeah.
who you are and
This is
what
how
you're
it is.
going to do.
And
Wow.
6 boosters later, who knows what that's doing to your DNA? Is it making you more susceptible to propaganda?
Oh
Is it
yeah.
making you
Yeah.
less likely to identify with yourself and stand for something? Because if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything. And that's literally what we're seeing. Literally what
Ouch.
we're seeing, bro. We are literally seeing people fall
This
for
entire
anything.
fucking show is a trailer, dog.
Bro, and you know,
Ah.
because it's so true, bro. That's like we're watching it play out. We are watching all these conspiracy theories play out. But what the counter to this though is you even seen it on some of these college campuses. The frat boys got together and they stopped people from taking down the American flag. Bunch of
Wow.
good old American boys got together and said, nah, we're done with that now. See, that's the backlash, right? That's why we talked about the backlash. We talked about the court of public opinion. See, that the roaring silent minority is they're not silent. They're roaring, screaming, but they're still the minority. They just happen to have a microphone, right? They happen to be on the television. They happen to be the talking heads. They happen to be the professors at these colleges. They happen to be judges. But that doesn't mean that the majority of Americans aren't hip to the game and don't know what's going on. But what it is that Americans have become so comfortable, so complacent that they're afraid to risk anything for what they believe in because they don't want to
Yeah.
lose their comfy life.
Yeah.
Right. And then if you take it state by state, every state's different. Some people are perfectly happy living in fucking Montana. They don't want to fucking do anything
Absolutely.
crazy. Do you know what
They
I
don't
mean? So
care.
that's just, but when they get in that voting booth, they're going to fucking vote for Donald Trump. Okay, and that's the thing is that there's not going to be enough votes to steal because the only way they can steal it is when it's close, when there's a close election, right? That's why the COVID propaganda kept it close. Oh, Trump's killing kids and everything. Oh my God, he's the worst. It's his fault. Right? Made it close enough to steal. That's why it's going to be big, too big to rig. This election will be too big to rig. That is what's going to happen. That's when nothing can stop that because we have the public. Look at all these court cases. Like I said, like we said, sat here. They're all going to fall apart. They are all psyops that are backfiring. Look at where we are now.
Word.
Literally every single one is backfiring. because of facts, and nothing can stop it now, bro.
And and moving on to our closing point. That was a fucking hell of a rant, bro. I gotta give you that. Yo, $150 million for every new car part manufacturing company in Mexico. Mexico has become the number one trading country for the United States of America. I think it's a good thing, but I'm not very well versed in this stuff. What the fuck is happening with the economy? Even though the numbers came out and we are at the lowest point of our GPA probably
Yep.
in history.
Yep, the GDP. So the only reason why we had any GDP was gross domestic product, which is how much we're producing and selling. The only reason why we had any was because we're selling a shit ton of weapons. That's how you artificially prop up your GDP. You sell oil and weapons to other countries. That's just what it is. So they thought it was going to be at 3%, which would have been cool. It came in at 1.6. That's half. That's called stagflation. When you have slow job growth and inflation with money, stagflation. You have a staggering economy and inflation getting out of control. Wages aren't meeting
Wow.
the price of living, right? So, but now the whole time they're telling us how great everything is, how the economy is doing great, how this and that. So they want to take credit for so Biden says 14 million jobs. I created 14 million jobs.
That was
Excuse
this
me, sir.
post-pandemic.
The unemployment rate is exactly where it was under Trump before COVID. So that actually means that you created zero jobs and everyone just got their old jobs back from a forced government shutdown, mostly in blue states. So you don't
Bam.
take credit. You don't take credit for that, sir. Just like you guys didn't give credit for him having the fastest recovering economy from the pandemic. You said, you don't get credit for that because it was a pandemic. Okay, well, then you don't get credit for this because this is the bare bones of Trump's economy you're standing on top of. That's why the unemployment is exactly where it was before COVID. You haven't created one new job. Matter of fact, people are having yet a second job just to keep up with the rate of inflation. Also, there are more foreign born workers that have been hired in the last 3 years than at any other time in history. So all of this job growth is actually fake, and it's all going to foreign born workers, and actually less Americans are in the workforce than ever before.
And
So in fact,
the way that you're moving your money,
bro,
you're taking it from us too and giving it to these fucking immigrants. Dog.
bro, but that's how you artificially prop up an economy before an election year, right? They just bank on us not knowing how the numbers actually look, right? So that stagflation is we haven't seen stagflation since Jimmy Carter. That was the last time. This man Joe Biden is less popular than Jimmy Carter was at the time. He's the least popular president in the history of our country, right? And it's not because he's a stumbling, fumbling idiot. Yeah, that helps, but it's because the numbers don't lie. And the gaslighting has been so very real. And then you take the weaponization of the government going after your political opponents, opening the border. I mean, it's literally everything that Trump said they were going to do, they did it. And you know what? A poll came out, very interesting poll. Democrats were polled. Over 50% of Democrats believe that we should deport. I have a mass deportation. That is huge because that's why Trump got
That's
hired.
your own base, bro.
Bro, that's the Democrats are even saying that. Now, they might not talk about it, but this is like I say, when they get behind that curtain, shit's going to change because now these Democrats are living in these cities, in these areas. They see everything.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
if you really cared about black and brown people, you would be concerned that all these immigrants are taking away the services for our black and brown communities in our inner city youth. Okay, they're having to stop recreations, they're having to stop football teams, having to stop all this stuff to accommodate people that broke into this country illegally. So now
Illegally.
it might have took a while, right? It might have took all this time, and now Biden wants to act like he wants to close the border. But listen, you told us it wasn't a crisis for 3.5, just like they told us inflation was transitory, right? Now, if they would have got on top of that early on, we could have stopped inflation, raised the rates, whatever they could have done, right? But instead, they lied to us and said it was transitory. Don't worry about it. Now they're going to say stagflation is transitory. Don't worry about it. Listen, this is what they need to worry about is when Trump gets back in. Now, Trump sat down with Time Magazine. That was, please, if anyone can, go read that interview because the left is losing their mind about it because Trump was just hold straight. This is what we're going to do. 11 million people getting deported day one, using the National Guard to do it. See, you got to go, right? Closing the border through executive orders. Don't need a bill from Congress. See, you got to go. Just getting shit done. And now he's going to stack his cabinet with people that he actually knows believe in his agenda, not people that are going to turn around and backstab him. Because we went through 4 years of the growing pains, actually 7 years now, right?
Yeah.
He took the stabs in the back, the punches in the face, all of the shit just so that he could show us who is who and he can learn who is who. Now, real quick, it's a perfect example of why Trump's not part of the club. James O'Keefe over at O'Keefe Media, the
Ha,
Project
ha,
Veritas guy,
ha,
did an
ha.
undercover video with a CIA agent, and the guy sat there and said, "We purposely withheld information from Donald Trump when we gave him his intelligence briefing." Why'd you
Scratch
do
that.
that?
Wait, hold the fuck up. Rewind and say that shit again. Final closing statements.
An
Close this out.
undercover video. James O'Keefe, everybody knows his work, right? He had a CIA agent admitting that during Trump's presidency, even Mike Pompeo, who was supposedly on our side, right? Trump picked him to head the CIA. They got together and then they would say what they're going to tell the president and what they're not. Now, you have to tell the president he's the fucking president of the United States. You can't withhold information. He needs to make decisions based on the intelligence that you give him. So they withheld the information. Why? Because they were afraid Trump was going to tell the public. Oh, they're scared that Trump's going to. That right there proves that Donald Trump is not part of the club, that he's not part of the agenda, and that they truly do fear him because he tells the people the truth. Okay, so now if he was controlled opposition, they would have no problem telling him whatever because they would just tell him to shut up because he's controlled.
That was a direct attack. That was a direct attack.
Everything.
Yeah, direct attack to Donald Trump and to the president of the United States. That's treason.
It's treason.
And
okay, it's treason.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, this was death to the establishment, and I want to give again my prayers and thoughts to Mama Tank. I hope you guys get better. I just received a call from him, so hopefully he updates me with the stuff that's happening. And Flash, I also understand that you're bringing in your best hosting abilities, hosting your own shows, episodes, full lengths under Paranoid Radio Podcast, hosted by my dear friend and patriot fighting warrior Flash or Flash_News1. So in good faith and practicing, I want you to take out the episode, bro.
In closing, I just wanted to say how I always preach about the court of public opinion, right? But now we are seeing the court of public opinion shift, and all of these protests on college campuses are just going to accelerate that. Because people don't want to see this anti-American hate. People don't want pro-Hamas people. But, you send your kid to college thinking it's great. 2 years later, they come back with pink hair, a tattoo on their face, and Death to Israel t-shirt. Like, this is America now. So I say that to say this election that's coming up in November is going to be too big to rig. And nothing can stop what's coming. It's going.
Yeah. And you can find us at paranoidradio.com. Don't forget to drop a 5-star review on the podcast. This allows people to enjoy the show as much as I can enjoy making it. Enjoy making it. Peace out, guys.
Peace.
Paranoid Radio.